Hello and welcome to C40I's podcast North of Ordinary. I'm joined today by Lee Jenkinson, the CEO of Oxen Sports. Now, Oxen is a brand born in Hull, but you'll find in the kit bags and dressing room and locker rooms of many of place over the country and also worldwide now. So welcome to C40I and North of Ordinary, Lee.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Oxen.
Yep.
Take it right back to the beginning. Where did it all start?
Well, pretty much beneath our feet, really, in the building here at C4DI. So, Oxen, a company formed in Hull, strong Hull roots with, myself being at the helm, and it was born out of adversity 7 years ago when, as part of the wider group business that we was working in, meant some slight changes. We had to pivot and create our own brand, which was Oxen, and, obviously still proud to the fact that now we've got a worldwide span. It always brings us back to Hull because that's where the brand was formed.
Excellent. And you said adversity, born out of adversity kind of thing.
Yep.
What was happening at that time that, where were you thinking that you had to go or needed to go?
Oxen is part of the wider Elite Pro Sports group, so I sit as CEO across both, and at the time with the Elite Pro Sports group we had a license agreement for an Australian brand at the time, which was predominant in footwear and apparel, and unfortunately during that period where I'd probably only been at the company for 18 months, the Australian company got taken over by a private equity firm, and unfortunately it was what we were aiming to achieve with the brand, didn't sit within what they was aiming to achieve with the brand. So we kind of reached that point where it felt like for us to run our own race and be in control of our own destiny was the wise thing to do at the time. And, I don't think we've looked back since. It was difficult going through that period, but arguably it's probably the best thing that happened to us.
So what did Oxen start with?
Well, we already started with a firm footing because we had the other brand in place. So we'd not only signed apparel partnerships with numerous professional sports clubs under that banner, but we also had prominence with the retail sector as well because we were selling that brand direct to wholesaling it to retailers up and down the country. So we had a strong base to start with. We were put in a position where we had to go to all of our customers and we were just transparent with them. We told them what was happening and said that we were going to create our own brand, and it was entirely up to the customers at that point whether we handed their contract over to the Australian brand that we were distributing at the time, or they started a new journey with us, and pleased to say 100% of people came with us. So we started from a good base. We had a springboard which arguably new brands don't often get, and that would have moved us forward a little bit further at the time. So it wasn't a bad position to start from.
Excellent. You started off in footwear, is that right?
Yeah, so the brand that we had was predominant in boots, whether that be rugby boots, football boots, AFL boots, etc. So that's how it started, and naturally tailed into apparel because when you're dealing with clubs and you're dealing with athletes, one lends itself to the other. Oxen, as we started, when we got the chance to be that was the old brand. When we got a chance to be in control of our own destiny, we wanted to pivot quite quickly in terms of in what we was known for. Whereas a lot of brands in this space are known for the technical kit partnerships that they do, we wanted to be known as a brand that does technical kit for clubs as well. And that's why, as you look at the brand now and sort of where our pillars lie, is Oxen as a standalone brand, whether that be apparel, whether that be footwear, is very strong in both hemispheres. And we do the technical kit partnerships as well.
And how much involvement do the players have in the product development and the innovation of...
Yeah, loads, absolutely loads. Everything we do is usually everything we do is backed up by data, and from a footwear perspective is backed up by biomechanics and podiatrists. But in terms of road testing the product, 100% athlete led at the minute. We've got 8 to 10 athletes trialing the latest development of boot, which we will probably bring to market in 2028. So the process for bringing a new product to market is quite lengthy, but we ensure that all our athletes are in the tent with us at the time where we're going through that road testing.
And what does this new boot, what makes it different to the old style boot?
So everything in and around the footwear is based on the sole plate inevitably. The uppers change quite a lot, and without getting too technical in it, what we're looking at doing, we've developed 3 different sole plates in the last 5 years, which are prominent in the market space now. But we feel every sole plate we do, there's got to be a reason to do it, and we're looking for that gap in the market. The next sole plate, we've got athletes trialing at the minute, we've identified a gap, namely in the rugby union space, which we're going to attack, and that's what the product they're trialling is now.
Excellent. So predominantly rugby, but football as well.
Yeah.
Would you try any other?
I think arguably we used to be predominantly rugby when we started,
Yes.
but now we've actually got more professional soccer clubs than we have rugby clubs. So that's swung quite a bit. And you look at some of the biggest brands in the world who've been going for between 60 and 100 years longer than us. The sport they started in isn't the one that they end in.
Well, like you say, Nike.
Yeah.
You know, they were traditionally for runners.
A run and shoot, yeah. And you know, they moved into, you know, a variety of different sports. I think we've got such an agile way of working and we've built an infrastructure that allows us to be flexible. There's nothing we would necessarily say no to. It needs to fit strategically in terms of what we're doing. But if you look at what we've got going on in the UK, that could be, we have rugby league, we have rugby union, we have soccer, we have cricket, we have ice hockey. We've done speedway before. Over in Australia, we're working in both codes of rugby. We're working in AFL. We're more about the partner that we're working with than the sport that the partner plays in. Everything we do, as I say, has to have a strategic reason, but we like to try and turn our hand to anything. And because we don't have a board of shareholders that we're consistently answerable to, there's only two of us. If an opportunity presents itself, we usually attack it head on.
Because I noticed that you have Sir Kevin Sinfield now. Looking at your running apparel as well.
Yeah, we launched Oxen Running officially last week, but that's been something which has been in the pipeline for a couple of years. Kev's been a mate of mine for over a decade, so it's not a new relationship. It's just really formalising something which we'd been working on anyway. And there's a huge piece built in and around what we're going to do from a running aspect. Are we going to create the world's fastest running shoe in the next 3 years? Definitely not. But what we're trying to do from the running aspect is hit three pillars. One, be community, because we want to encourage communities to come out and obviously run with us. We want to continue to raise money and awareness for the MND Association, and we want to get people active, basically. So whilst it feels new and it feels a little bit of a pivot from what we've done historically, there's a 3-year plan in place for what we're going to do with Kev and the Oxen Running side of the business.
Excellent, because he is such a huge brand ambassador, isn't it? You know, for what he's doing for MND and the running. It's great to have on board, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just a special human, and you can't help but be inspired. I'm joking with him every day at the minute. So when he came into our office a couple of weeks ago, we joked about me doing an ultra with him at the end of the year. So I'm training for it now. I've got a half marathon tonight, which is part of my process, and I'm going through that with Kev every day. He rubs off on you, and this is why we want to build Oxen running communities and want to get people active, because when you're in his presence and you see what he does, you can't help but be inspired by it. And Kev quite often says, whilst everything we're doing in conjunction with Kevin, the things Kev does himself is largely based around the MND awareness and fundraising. What we're encouraging people is everyone's got a cause somewhere, is find what that cause is and come and get out on the pavements with us.
Excellent. I don't think I'm up to your standard, ultra marathon standard as yet.
Well, what we're trying to, what will become apparent in the next 18 to 24 months is what we're doing with the community runs. It's runners of all abilities. You don't have to be an ultra runner like Kev. If you can run 2K, if you can run 1K, if you want to come and walk it, just come out with us. Let's just get active, because I think at the minute there appears to be countrywide is, you know, we know people aren't getting out there and getting active because of everything that we see in the press. So we're going to look at seeing if we can inspire people to come out and join Kev on the streets of Hull or Leeds or Doncaster, etc.
So you'll be setting up little running clubs?
We won't be setting up running clubs. We've got a bit of a plan in place of what we're going to achieve, but it will certainly be going around a variety of areas in the country. But we're talking late 27, early 28 when that comes to fruition. We've got a few building blocks to put in place before that.
So I can get some practice in now.
You can get some practice in, 100%. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you're on about the streets of Hull and such like. What does Hull mean to you personally for the brand, for building your business?
Well, personally, I love the city. Yeah. I've lived here, barring a 2-year hiatus when I moved to Leeds for work. I've lived in the city all my life.
But we've welcomed you back.
Yeah, you're welcoming me back with open arms. I grew up off Hessel Road. All my family's from Hull. I take great pride in the fact of where I'm fortunate that my job takes me around the world on a monthly basis to different areas, and I'll always wax lyrical about the city because people throw stones at us for a lot of reasons and quite often unjustified. So I'm very proud of the fact of being a born and raised in Hull, and that goes up an element when this is where the brand was created. This will always be where the brand's created. You know, you look across the board at where Nike, Adidas, Puma, etc., where all these brands originated from, and that's always one thing which is immovable, and that'll always be the bit for Oxen, is that it was created, as we said earlier, just below our feet in the meeting room downstairs.
And does it influence the city, influence the business?
I think the people influence the business, and what I mean by that is hard work overcomes all, and we've built a fantastic senior leadership team of like-minded people who, when it's difficult, they're happy to get in the trenches and roll the sleeves up. But I think that comes from all being from cities like Hull. I'm from Hull, Shane's from Doncaster, Dex from Sheffield, Ben's from Manchester. We're all of an area where we've grown up having to do it the hard way. It's not being given to us, and I think that not only instills and allows us to bounce off each other, the staff that work around us get that vibe as well. And I think, whilst Hull, I wouldn't say the influence is largely based just on Hull for the brand, I would say that it's a cumulative group of people who all share a similar vision.
And you're involved with, and you have been involved with and currently involved with Hull City, Hull KR, Hull FC.
Not Hull FC.
Not Hull FC? Is that not yet?
No, we're not involved. We've a fantastic partnership with Hull KR. We've been with Hull KR since 2017. And as you said, the football club came on recently. So we've got two fantastic partners in the city in that.
It's a great sporting culture in the city, isn't it?
It's fantastic. I love live sport. I will pretty much go watch anything. I love the ice hockey. I go to the ice hockey, number of times a year here. There's not many cities in the world with the population of what Hull's got, which can carry as many professional sporting teams as it can, which is testament to the people of the city and how they get out and support the live sport activities.
Got to mention Hull City.
Yep.
How did that partnership come about?
We've been working with the club for a couple of years now in different guises. As I referenced to you earlier, off camera, we do a lot in different areas, and one of the areas we do a lot of business in is our white label section of the business. We've been working with Premier League football clubs for the last 5 years, the level of some would really surprise people when they knew that, we'd been working with them for a number of years. So the conversation with Hull City has always naturally gone on, and round about 15 months ago was when it became apparent that there might be an opportunity to do a technical kit partnership and take it to another level, and that led to us probably about 12 months ago, sitting down and understanding what it needed to look like, and got signed off around about last August, September.
That's brilliant.
It's been a phenomenal year. I mean, we all sat there and watched the year progress and go, well, could this be our first Premier League club? And again, what I referenced earlier about the way we've built the infrastructure of the business with agility and flexibility has allowed us in the last 3 months, when promotion looked like it could be on the cards, to work really closely with the club and understand what they would need if it happened, and mitigate their risk and mitigate their exposure, putting things in place at our side. So if they did get promoted, it could be activated straight away. If they didn't get promoted, there'd be no risk to them. And I think we've delivered on that with the product that's gone on sale last week and the product that will be getting constantly delivered over the next 4 to 8 weeks.
Because obviously the partnership was in place before they were promoted.
Yeah.
So it must have been the cherry on the cake for you to know that you are providing for the Premiership now. Yeah,
it's twofold for us, and it's twofold with all of our partners. Is fundamentally, course you please for Oxen, because within this scenario it takes you to a different level. But we work with clubs because of the people involved in them. It's never about the club for us. It's when you sit at a desk and you're trying to do a deal and you understand, could you work with the people sat across that desk? I know what everyone at that club has put in, the work that they've put in over the last few years. Last year wasn't, or the year just gone obviously has been a great year. From the year before, that wasn't as good. So to see what it means to them as well kind of takes you up a notch, and we always see ourselves as an extension of their workforce. So yeah, fundamentally great for Oxen, but equally as pleased for the guys at the club as well.
Because there must be a lot goes on behind the scenes to securing a partnership like that people don't see, and it's not overnight, is it?
No.
Like you say, it's building those relationship, that foundation and that trust in you, isn't it?
It's all about relationships. Mm-hmm. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. When it comes to the commercials of working with a club with a contract, that's probably the easy bit. And I don't say that lightly, because there's significant figures involved, but they've got to be able to trust you, you've got to be able to trust them, and you've got to figure out that you can work together. Over the course of the last 9 months, I've probably been at the MKM Stadium twice a week, which tells you how we've built the relationship together to get it to this point of what it is. But that could be the same said for all of our clubs. There's not many weeks go by where I don't have a touch point with someone from one of our partners, and that's one of the USPs that we deliver as a business. Is it's not a numbers game for us. We don't we don't go in for every tender that comes across our desk because we like to give the customer a bit of a different way of working, and that's largely driven from what my 13, 14 years before I took this job was, because I was used to dealing with kit suppliers from around the globe, and I felt like it was all much of a muchness. And that's not a criticism of them brands, because I'm still friends with the people at the brands that I used to work with then, but no one was doing anything differently, and I felt there was an opportunity to offer a bit more of a USP. And as I said earlier, to be an extension of that club's workforce, so they know that when they need you, you're there. It's not a case of there's 500 customers in our order book at the minute and you sit at number 26. When we go tender for a club, we give them the names of everything from the kit man to the CEO, all of our other partners, and say, stress test us, go speak to all of our clubs, and they'll all tell you that they get treated exactly the same, because that's what we're here to do.
Because you wouldn't get any of the big names dropping everything, rushing around to the MKM, to check something out, sign something off, or something like that, would you?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
I certainly wouldn't have thought so. And we're fortunate that I live 15 minutes away from the stadium, which makes it a little bit easier. But the flip side of that is we're becoming very prominent in Australia at the minute, and most of my days, all of my days, Monday to Friday, start at 4 a.m, because we're continuing them touch points with the people out there. So whilst I may not be on site with them clubs at the minute, I'm speaking to them every day, and I would argue that the brands that we're working out with there at the minute, I go 3 or 4 times a year to Australia. I've probably still seen them more than their apparel partners have, and they're based in Australia.
Yes.
So look, that's what we're about. I believe people buy from people. We like to build relationships. We feel there's win-wins to do for everybody in these kind of scenarios. And whilst fans and customers may not always understand the process that goes on behind it, there's usually 2 years' worth of relationship building before any contract starts.
Excellent. Now, got to mention the Hull City kit.
Yeah, it's
just
brilliant,
launched.
isn't it?
Well, I did a little poll of people as they came into the building today to see their opinion.
Yep.
Because it has divided opinion online, the kit. And we were about equal, to be honest. I won't say some of the words that they called it. But it was the badge, I think, that resonated with a lot of people, the omission of the Tigers badge and replaced with HCAFC on there. A lot of people liked the white collar and the white sleeve endings. But it was the badge that most people mentioned.
I think I'm in a fortunate position where I've been doing this for 23 years now. So I've probably been part of close to, if not more than 1,000 shirt launches. And the feedback that happened when the Hull City shirt was launched isn't uncommon.
Yes.
We see this all the time. It's a share that divides opinion is usually the strongest commercial seller, and that's kind of where we always have to come back to is, has it sold?
Has it?
Yeah, on the opening day, the club did 3 times the amount of what they've done in any previous opening day of the last 5 years. So the proof is always in that. Now, if that had been a drastic sales number, then I would say, But inevitably, a bit like the relationship builds, we're already in a position now with all of our soccer clubs that won't take delivery for 12 months, where we've started the storyboards, we've started the concepts. So there's a lot of work that goes into why the shirt is created the way that the shirt's created. Unfortunately, the club didn't get the chance to tell that story on Thursday because it leaked 24 hours earlier, unfortunately. Yeah, so it
leaked?
We don't know. It wasn't supposed to go out until 6 p.m. on the Thursday night, but it had to go out at 6 p.m. on the Wednesday night because it got leaked at around 5 o'clock on the Wednesday. So it was 25 hours away from shirt launch, considering the amount of work that had been done in the background. And the best shirts are done with an element of storytelling to it, and that's what the club would have done on Thursday. They just didn't get the opportunity to do it. So whilst I appreciate it may have come as a bit of a surprise to some fans, the fans who it hasn't come as much of a surprise to have obviously bought it in spades because of the sales figures which I referenced earlier. And I said this last week when we was doing something similar, but the club have put so much effort into how the range looks collectively this year. So whilst only one product's being launched at the minute, when the whole story sits as a collective, by the time the Premier League kicks off on the 22nd of August, I think fans will understand why the club made all the decisions what they did.
22nd of August, it'll soon be upon us.
It will.
Wow. So you're doing the full kit, the training kit, the boots? No.
No. So the
certain?
No, the boots are more on an athlete-by-athlete basis. So, we have a cluster of Oxen athletes that we work really closely with in both hemispheres. But again, it's not a volume game for us. We're not trying to sign 200 athletes, because the way that we treat an athlete is the same way as we treat a club. I've probably spoke to 6 athletes this morning, and if we have 200 athletes, we can't do that. So we have the athletes that give us great credibility, and then we sell them D2C and in retailers as well.
How do you say no to an athlete when they say, can I be one of your partners to test your products? You go, actually.
Sometimes a no is as powerful as a yes. And I think it goes back to what I said earlier, is about staying true to our moral compasses. Either myself or Shane or Britain, Australia like to deal with all the athletes personally, because going back to what I was saying about how we notice the gap in the market from an apparel perspective, it's the same from a boots perspective. We've signed some of the best athletes in the competition in the NRL in Australia, and the relationship that they had with their brands before was non-existent, and they deserve better than that, and we feel that we can give that. So and there's got to be strategy behind it. We take players in certain areas for certain reasons. It's not just a case of, if we want a pair of free boots, we'll ring Oxen. It don't work like that for us.
Good on you. Yeah, they're not.
It makes it look. It takes longer to get to where we want to get to by doing it this way, because there's less product visible in the market. But it's like I referenced to you earlier. We've been doing this for 10 years. We've at least got another 5 years of really hard work ahead of us before we get to a position where we'd be like, that's where we wanted to feel like we're getting towards where we wanted to get to. But if you said to someone today it's going to take you 15 years to get from point A to B, nobody's going to tell the time for 15 years. So, yeah.
I'm just having to go back to the kit bit of City just for a minute. So, what restrictions exist that people don't know about, that when you're creating a new design for a product?
The only real restrictions are what are set out by the governing body. So in this case, it was the Championship and now it's the EPL.
How does that differ?
Different regulations, different areas where you can have sponsors. And largely, a lot of it depends on the teams that are in the league as well, in terms of what colours you can get away with having and not having. But outside of that, the way we work with our clubs, which again is one of our USPs, the clubs have complete autonomy. It starts as white fabric, and it starts as flat white fabric. What do we need to do now? So if you look at the Hull City one as an example, they've got a jacquard weave in the body of their fabric, which is exclusive to them, because at the start of this process, they wanted something a little bit different. That we call it hanger appeal, is when it's in the shop, it looks and feels different, and it feels like an elevated quality, which inevitably is compared to some of the other fabrics on the market. Just because of the way that it's manufactured, the way that it's weaved, the weight of the fabric, the performance aspects of it, which is, and I won't pivot too much to rugby league and rugby union at the minute, but it's the same way as our playing share is the fabric in that is patented to us. No one else in the world uses the fabric that we use within their playing shirts. So we can give the customers that attention to detail, because again, we keep the stable small to ensure that they can have that. So there isn't any real restrictions barring the ones from the governing body. So I said like about the fabric there, the way that it's a high quality fold over collar, we've got cuffed ribbon. It's a little bits of detail that clubs want to put in. It can be whatever they want. Now obviously everything comes with a cost to it, but there's some fantastic products that we've got lined up over the next 3 months for launching with Hull City, and some of them which will be done with before the Premier League season, and some that will be done in the run up to Christmas, and some of the attention to detail touches in elevated quality which came from the club having a vision which we've been able to deliver. I think the fans will be really pleased.
Give us some sneak peeks. What?
It's just some things that you wouldn't expect, and I think one of the things that fans often don't think we do as a brand and as a club is you pay close attention to fan feedback. Now,
yes,
when they're slagging you off, you turn one eye off to it because that's just the nature of it. But
do you ever get sort of like, oh God, it's all negative, give me a positive sometimes.
Yes and no. I think the way that the algorithms work now is, when things are bad, they're really bad, and when they're good, they're really good, and it shapes it that way. But I'd be lying if I said you didn't take some of it personally, because you do, because you're passionate about your brand and you're passionate about your partners. Hull City in this scenario. But the one thing we do and our team do internally is keep a close eye on what's being said for any areas where you think, oh, actually, that makes a bit of sense. And again, going back to us being the size of brand that we are, we can be reactive to that. So there was a few comments on social media in the 48, 72 hours after launch, which we picked up on when we started seeing a bit of correlation between it all. And that led to us then looking at a program for the club and saying, we think this would work for these reasons. We can do it in this lead time. And that's already in production now. And the shirt's only been in circulation for 5 days. So there's certain bits that we do that we move really quickly on by paying attention to what fans say. And the other bit, which again is probably, I don't think we've said this anywhere yet, and it's not like a woo is a big exclusive.
I'm leaning in.
No, but we sat down with, and again, some of these things can't come to fruition overnight, but in February, we went and sat down with the female supporters group at the football club, because the female supporters group had consistently said to the club, we don't feel you cater for us and for these products. So we went and sat down with them and showed them, they were all under NDAs, but we showed them a variety of products. And some of the feedback that they led and what they said has led to the women's version of the crop replica shirt, which is in the shop, because there's some of the big clubs are doing it, but that's because they've been at the top of the Premier League for a while. So introducing that was reflective of some of the feedback that came out of that meeting, and some of the other women's products, which the club will launch again in the next 3 to 6 months before Christmas, are all on the back of fan feedback from what them ladies said in that room. So we listen really carefully to what the fans say, but we do that from an Oxen perspective as well. So,
is there anything that you would say no to if a club said, we really fancy this? You would absolutely not.
It'd be more in design than product, because we've got to be conscious of our brand as well, and how we're a consumer brand at the end of the day. So we've got to be conscious about how that's perceived from, not just the club's fans, but everybody else. So it'd only really be in design where we'd push back a little bit.
Excellent. I think we've grilled you enough on the on the kit. So what's next for Oxen then?
We're progressing really well in Australia. We launched our first NRL club in October this year, which for anyone that doesn't really know what the NRL is, it's their premier competition over in Australia, so it's their version of the Premier League. The club we've got over there is one of the biggest, and we're really, really excited to launch that in October. And that's been 4 years worth of relationship building, but they're a fantastic club. They're going places. We're so proud to be involved with them. That's the next big thing which we will announce. There's the Oxen running side of things, which I said earlier about with Kev, and really just elevating and building the partnerships that we've already got in place. We're not sat here, as I said earlier, trying to take on another 6, 10, 15 professional sports clubs. We think we can do really well with the ones that we've got by giving them our all. And I think Hull KR is probably, because we're in Hull, is a shining example of that. We took the club 9 years ago, and when we were due to take over, they'd just been relegated. So it was the opposite of what we've got now, where a club's just been promoted. But we've worked inherently closely with them over the last 9 years to build a retail infrastructure which has seen them go from 10 over X to 10 over Y. But not only doing that with the same products, innovating and bringing new products to market, and them getting what I feel is the best of us has helped them do that. If we had another 15 partners on the books, then we wouldn't be able to give that close service. So it's about working really closely with them partners. We've signed a couple of extensions with the clubs that we've already got, which will get announced in the next 4 to 6 weeks as well. So that's pretty much what the next 2 years holds for us.
Excellent. And is there any particular trends that are shaping retail, business, brands that are going to shape the future of the product?
Like everything, AI is going to have a huge influence, I think. And we're seeing that already, much to the detriment of people coming up with concept shirt designs. So there's 5,000 shirt designs on social media before the actual one's announced, and everyone can always find one which they prefer, but that's what that's designed there to be. I think one of the things that we're constantly conscious of is ensuring that when we go to clubs, we can bring a fashion element to what they're looking to achieve as well. Not every club will want this, but sports retail has changed dramatically. I ran a sports retail environment 23 years ago. And what we used to do then in terms of product is completely different to what I feel the product blend should be now. And we've built the agility of our supply chain on being able to supply that for customers. And what I mean by that is, if we go into Hull City, yes, we can do their technical kit apparel in terms of what's on the field and what's in the training wear. But we can also, as I said earlier, look after the women's section. So whether that be gym leggings, oversized hoodies, oversized sweatshirts, we can then do similar from a male perspective. We then look at kids in a different way. There's never going to be a one size that fits all, but where I think the next 12 to 24 months is going is trying to find that blend between sports and fashion, which I think some clubs are doing really well at the minute. And that's probably, you look at that, reference back to that Hull City shirt, barring the boys on the field and kids, no one's really going to wear it with shorts and socks. No one wears a full kit. You look at that shirt and that's one with a pair of jeans, that looks pretty cool. And I think the same can be said for each of the shirts that sit within Hull City's collection this year, equally look as good with a pair of jeans as they will with boys on the field.
I think the only one that would never look good is that one with the tiger print. Early 90s, was it?
But it's so
like
in
that?
now. Retro, so, like, it's interesting. I saw one comment on Twitter, and I won't get this exactly right, but when you're in a stadium and you see someone in the crowd with a retro shirt, it's almost like a badge of honour.
Yeah.
But then sometimes when a club launches a shirt that looks like a retro shirt, it's seen as a negative. And it's trying to find the balance, I guess, between the two so you can please as many people as possible.
Excellent. And once you see it on, and after a couple of games, people forget all the negativity, won't they?
Yeah. Oh, look, I think it's just about finding the balances. There was as much positivity as there was negativity. But to your point there, I think given the volume of shirts that the club has sold already, I went for a walk in the city centre on Sunday and, saw half a dozen of them out and about. I think the more people see that, the more people, those who would only see the negative comments will start to understand there's a positive side as well.
Excellent. Well, we're nearly at the end,
Yep.
but I just wanted to do some quick fire ones with you.
Yep.
That's all right for you, Lee?
Sure.
Cool. First thing that pops into your head. Best sporting atmosphere you've ever experienced?
Just because I'm a proud Hull resident, I will say the Well Club Challenge when Hull KR played Brisbane at the stadium in February. I thought everything from getting there to it finishing and winning was perfect.
Excellent. And if Oxen could sign any sporting icon as an ambassador, dead or alive,
Yep.
who would you fancy?
It would have been Gaza,
Yes.
just purely because he's a hero of mine, but we have actually signed Gaza as part of our white label business. So
Brilliant.
we've got a lifetime partnership with Paul now, which sees us looking after all his apparel. So if you'd have asked me that question 6 months ago, it would have been Gaza, but I'm going to stick with Gaza because he's such a hero of mine anyway.
Didn't realise he had his own...
Yeah, he's got his own own clothing line. This year's 30 years since the infamous dentist chair, so there's a range designed around that. It was on GMB.
What, dentistry?
Well, it's just some cool pictures on the back, but it was on GMB last week, so he had his garments on GMB. It's been a slow process to start with Gaza, but yeah, we've got some really interesting products and collections lined up for him over the next few years ahead of the 2028 Euros in the UK.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. If you weren't running Oxen, what would you be doing? Running, probably.
Yeah. Well, when I was 19, I really wanted to be a chef. So I'd gone to college and I did travel and tourism, other side of my part-time jobs because I just fancied travel, which inevitably I've ended up doing, but through work. But yeah, if it hadn't been that, I think I'd have probably been a chef.
Ooh. Yeah. Are you a good cook at home?
I like to think I am. My wife don't give me many complaints, but I just love cooking. But I love everything around, whether I'm cooking, whether I'm watching cooking TV shows. I'm big into all that.
Excellent. What's the most expensive mistake you've ever made in business?
Well, there's been a few.
Is it people related?
Yeah, people and products. I think inevitably, like what I said earlier, is having that autonomous sort of style of management that we have across the business. We all make mistakes, and there's been some pretty expensive ones. There's some I probably wouldn't want to admit to, but it's a learning process for us where we're so agile in what we do and we're always looking for new opportunities and new ways to make it work. Inevitably, 99 of them work and one will bite you on the bum, so to speak, and there's been a few of them, but probably not a standout one, but a few which have hurt us a little bit.
Excellent. And which famous sports team would you love to redesign the kit for? Any sport.
Probably Barcelona, just because I love the colours, I love the kits as a kid. Whenever we used to go on Spain on holiday, inevitably I would come back with a Barcelona shirt. I think it's a really cool brand and it's really cool colours. I think that'd be a really fun one to work with, and never say never.
Ooh, tell me first if you're going to do one, won't you?
Got a bit of way to go before we get to Barcelona, but look, that's the old mantra of the business is we shoot for high, and we're on a journey. We're nowhere near the finished article yet. And as I said, we've probably got 5 years before we just establish into that point of saying that's where we thought we could get to, and then there's probably another 15 years hard work ahead of that as well.
Well, you've done amazing so far.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
No, it's a pleasure.
Today,
Thanks for having us.
It's been lovely.
Cool.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. And don't forget, if you're interested in this one, check out our other North of Ordinary podcasts, wherever you usually sign up and listen to them. And don't forget to subscribe. See you soon.